Happy Tuesday, Striver. I hope you woke up today with a great attitude, and I welcome you here to your new home for personal development, right here in Growth Day. I'm excited to share with you a personal development topic every single day in these daily fires that I hope opens up that gate of self-awareness, inspires you a little bit for an even better day, and helps you find a little bit more introspection about who you are, what you want in the future. So today, why don't we take on that topic of introspection? You know, obviously, so much of our work in personal development is to gain greater self-awareness. And we do that by looking within. We always teach people here at Growth Day that there's two things that change your life. Either something new comes into your life, right? A new opportunity, a new person, a new thing, a pandemic, something new comes in and it shifts how you do things, how you think of things. It's that moment where, because fate, destiny, luck, universe, God introduced something new into your life, you forever changed your course. But there's also another way to change your life, and that is something new doesn't come from without, but something new comes from within. And the way that we access what is within is we learn to become more introspective, more mindful about who we are, how we operate in the world, what we feel, what we need, what our intentions are, and what we hope for in our lives and the lives of our families and those who we strive with. And so I'd like to share 4 ideas for you today on introspection, because people, ultimately, at the end of the day, I can say, hey, go journal on this topic, or score yourself in these habits, or take these challenges, or share with the community. But if they don't make you look more deeply within, then we're not doing enough by ourselves in our own personal development work. Of course, you've been given the tools in the past. Of course, you've read the books. Of course, you've watched the courses. Of course, you've done the work of personal development in the past, but it really takes reflection, time, alone, thinking about our own thoughts. And I really encourage you to spend that time every day, where that's your meditation, your prayer, sitting in silence, journaling, whatever it takes to look within every single day so that you start to understand yourself and peel away all the layers to discover that authentic truth, that genuine soul within. I think that's the work. And so when people ask me, well, how do you do introspection? What do you like to think about? Well, at a casual level, I like to think about 4 things. First, when I'm being self-reflective, when I'm thinking internally about who I am and about my life, I think a lot of introspection comes down to thinking about my attitude. Attitude, one of the most important topics in all of personal development, because we all learned from Viktor Frankl in Man's Search for Meaning, the last of the human freedoms is the ability to choose one's own attitude. And if you have never read Man's Search for Meaning from Viktor Frankl, I encourage you to do that, because his survival of the Holocaust and his reflections and his writing about how human beings find meaning even in the most difficult of moments, even the most atrocious of times, can be really instructive to all of us. And it's one of the most popular and highly recommended books in personal development's history by all other self-help and self-improvement and psychologists. And I really encourage you to read it. But that profound insight, the last of the human freedoms, is the ability to choose one's own attitude. So when I think about my life, when I'm being introspective, I often think about that. How's my attitude been? What was my attitude like when something happened that I didn't like? What's my attitude like when things are going good? What's my attitude like when I had that difficult conversation? What's my attitude like when this thing happened? And more importantly, have I been choosing my attitude? Have I been intentional about that? You probably heard me teach in the past the concept of bringing the joy, that I want to be a blessing to other people's lives, and I want to bring good energy into the world. And so that in every situation, I choose my attitude, and I choose to bring the joy to the situations of my life. I choose to bring the joys when that camera turns on. I choose to bring the joy when it's dinner time. I just try to choose and adopt a great attitude and a great energy so that I can be living my life from an intentional place, but also a positive place. So I think about my attitude a lot. Another thing I think about a lot is the labels I apply to times, events, people, circumstances, the situations of life. The labels of good or bad, the labels of hurtful or helpful, the labels of different or similar, the labels that we cast to others in our judgments or our stereotypes, the labels that I apply to myself when I fail or when I succeed, the labels that I apply to my family members, to my friends, to my team. We're such a judgmental species. And being aware that often judgments happen through the plastering of a label on things. It's like our mental projection is like putting Post-it notes on everyone's forehead and labeling them. That's what we do in our social relationships. And so I always think about that. How do I label today? Good day, bad day? When that thing didn't go right, how do I label it? Because obviously our labels lead to what? Our attitudes over a period of time. And so getting the root cause of how I'm naming things and categorizing things, how I'm acting from my biases or my judgments or my privileges to decide that I'm so holier than thou that I can tell people who they are or tell them what to do or judge their behavior because it might be different than mine. All of these things can lead to a lot of pain. And so I'm always thoughtful. It's like, how do I label that? Another thing I think about a lot is what old school psychologists would call like my defense mechanisms. When do I feel defensive? When do I shut down? When do I close off? When do I shut out others? When do I seek to protect my heart? When do I get in my ego and get in defensive arguments just because? When am I defending myself so that I can feel safe or welcome, or that I can feel smart or superior? When do I feel defensive throughout the day? I'm constantly thinking about that when I'm doing my self-reflection in my journal. Last part is I think about where I have, I guess for lack of a better word, the ability to persist. Meaning, I think about the times when I could have quit, the times when I could have stopped, the times I could have drowned in my own pools of pessimism. And I try to go, okay, what were those moments that I kept going when I could have stopped? And I try to label those as positive. I try to keep my good attitude when I want to stop. I try to not be too defensive and fail to recognize the learnings so I can keep proceeding. For me, it's about that willingness to keep going. And I always try to, when I'm thinking about my life, I try to think, where did I luckily choose to keep going when I could have stopped? Because in that time, I probably demonstrated some commitment, some resilience, maybe even some courage. And I try to give myself credit. I try to pat myself on the back, just not out of an ego play, but a little bit out of just honoring those difficult times when you keep going. Because sometimes the people around you might not see it. They might not understand it. They might not know how many days you've shown up, how hard you've worked, what your good intentions have been. And if we don't recognize and honor ourselves during those times we demonstrated strength or commitment or the wherewithal to get back up, stand strong, and go at it again, then we never get stronger in our own identity. Because you know what all these things do? The labels you apply to things, your attitude, how you defend yourself, how you keep going or honor or recognize yourself when you do, those all do start to shape your identity, how you perceive yourself, how you perceive yourself in this world, how you perceive others, how you perceive your future. And being aware of these things is just helping you pass through that first gate of personal development. which, as you know, is awareness. Just being more aware to your attitudes and your labels, your defenses, and those times that you carried on, you persisted. Be more aware of those. Journal about those. Capture those. So often here in Growth Day, people say, I don't know what to journal about. I hope this gives you some new ideas. Or if you ever get stuck, just go press one of those buttons under the journals, those prompts, the morning mindset or the growth prompts, to get your mind going. Often I just start journaling on anything. What happened during that day, how I'm feeling, what I need, capturing some ideas about life or a quote I heard. And I just use my journal as my catch-all for thoughts about life or things I like. And I don't know how you're using them, but I hope once in a while you do spend a few moments going within and thinking about how you've been living your life, because it's about capturing those things. It's about thinking about the topics we talked about today, that you become more introspective. And I think if we had more people who just took a beat to think about how they were living and thinking and operating in the world, we'd have more conscious people. And we know when you're more conscious, more aware of your own thoughts, more aware and in touch with your authentic self and feelings, you tend to be more empathetic and more compassionate to others. You tend to be a better leader. You tend to be happier. And I think that's an absolutely critical thing. So I hope you enjoyed this session here in Growth Day. If you did, I haven't asked for a while, would you do me a favor? Send some people to Growth Day. Maybe you have some family or team, people you care about who you think should be here. And so go invite them. Send them to growthday.com, or maybe go buy them a gift subscription. You can go into your settings now, and there's a gift subscription area that we're got in beta right now. I'd love to hear what you think about it. You can just go into your settings and click on gift subscriptions, and you can actually buy a membership for the first time ever for other people to Growth Day. We'll be talking a lot about it during the holiday season, but we're kind of testing it out right now. So I thought Daily Fire would be a good time to mention it if you happen to be getting value from this. I think that at the end of the day, if each of us can help someone around us grow, and grow in whatever way is important for them in their lives, not the way we label it, not because we think they should change, but rather we want to give them the opportunity to grow. We want to open up that gate for them to walk through on their own into higher levels of self-awareness and self-mastery, because when they do that, we know their lives could change. We know they can learn what we talk about every day here. Every day is a great day to grow.